Nice. Let him finish. Let him finish. Yeah, you finished? Okay, okay, good. And I expected a little more on that intro, but we can get started. All right, guys, yeah, let's do this.
Put on that blazer yesterday.
Yeah, not normal. Yeah, but you get an opportunity to do something, that's important to a lot of people, probably more important to a lot of people than it is to me. But yeah, you don't want to be disrespectful, so I have one hidden in the closet somewhere, but Bruce, I'm not wearing it for you.
Well, it seems like you talk a lot about culture with this team. Is that kind of what you were trying to adapt there?
Well, for sure. I think, culture is a buzzword. And I don't want to I'm not going to go through my entire belief system today, but, when you get an opportunity to do something like that, you want to represent yourself, you want to represent your program, and, you want to talk about things you're passionate about and that you believe in. And, we got a lot going on in our world today, and anytime you get a chance to talk to leaders, and I don't know a lot about politics, so, I'll be honest there. It's not really a focus of mine. But you want to make sure the people that are representing us, have integrity, are honest, care about others more than themselves, I think all that stuff, and I'm sure everything I said has been said before, but, I wanted to make sure that, if I got, my moment in the sun, that those were going to be the things that I wanted to hang my hat on. Kind of out of nowhere. I just, I got an email from the speaker of the House, just asking, if I wanted to participate, and, I figured as a citizen of this state, and an employee of the government, that, I probably should accept. So that's what I did.
How much do you guys discuss anything about the being undefeated? It seems like each year, like when you have that first loss, it's the...
I haven't even thought about it, thanks. It's like, hey, what are you doing? A guy's pitching a no-hitter. Do you go up to him and say, "Oh, you're doing great"? No, I'm joking.
Each year you've had when you have that first loss, it's kind of we knew we weren't going to go undefeated, so let's not even think about that.
This team has been, really strong at being in the moment and being process oriented, and so those are the things that we're trying to focus on. We're not getting enamored with the results or obsessed with outcomes. We're digging into processes because we understand doing the process right, more than your opponents usually allows, the outcome to come out in your favor. So, really keeping it that simple and just staying in the moment and kind of enjoying being with each other and, and enjoying the journey.
Kind of how it was in 21 when you were still at Gonzaga, the year that you guys did similar?
Man, that was 5-6 years ago. So, yeah, I'm sure we had the same approach. I'm sure it was very similar, but, it's hard when you're telling a story, that basically a team that made it to the championship game undefeated. I'm not going to sit here and compare our team to that, or I'm just, that's not fair to this team. And this team's gonna, it's gonna create its own way. It's on its own journey, and we'll see the twists and turns that take place, and we'll deal with them as we come upon them.
Does superstition play a role at all when you get this way? Just little stuff like,
Nope.
Hey, we're winning,
Absolutely
we got
not.
meals at the
Nope.
same time?
Nope. Superstition has nothing to do with the game. The game's going to have 2-0:00 up there, and the ball's going to go up, and then that's what has to do with the game. And when the ball gets tipped, we're going to play basketball, and nothing before any superstition stuff has anything to do with it. People can do whatever they want for comfort. I have no problem with it, but no, I got nothing for you.
Jaden Bradley has obviously played really well this season, but there's been a few games similar to the other day where he just turns it on late in the game. Yeah. What do you attribute to maybe it not, like he scored 17 points in the second half, didn't score in the first half? What do you kind of attribute that to?
An experienced player who, puts, value in the team's performance over himself, but also understands maybe there's moments that, he can, be more focused on being the driving force. And, he obviously is very comfortable in that closing role, and, he's had some success with it this year. So, yeah, am I surprised when it's happening? No. But does that mean I'm not impressed? mean, I'm very impressed. You know, when he's able to do that, but it's not something we want to count on every single day. You know, we always want the workload and the production load to be shared, you know, amongst the team.
Like him to be more aggressive throughout the game, or you just think?
You know, I mean, listen, I think JB's in his sweet spot. I always tell him I trust him. You know, I trust his feel for the pulse of the game, and you know, I mean, I tell him I'm okay with him, you know, shooting a few more shots here and there, but you know, I'm never going to get frustrated when he doesn't shoot, because you know, he's what he's doing is he thinks he's trying to help our team perform, you know, the best it can. So I'm not going to get mad at a kid for that.
Has Bobby Hurley meant to this rivalry?
You know, I mean, I've obviously been in on the back end of it, and you know, I can't speak for Bobby other than that he and I have a good relationship. You know, for me, I honestly approach this game like any other game. You know, I don't make more of it. I don't look for bulletin board material. I mean, nothing like that. I just look at it as another game on our schedule that, you know, is going to be one of our 18 games in our conference standing. I understand people on the outside might get emotional, but, you know, I don't think that helps us perform better. So, you know, we're obviously excited to play the game. We have a lot of respect for Bobby and for Arizona State. We know how dangerous they are. We felt it firsthand many times before. So, you know, we're going to approach the game with that respect, and go out and try to play well from there.
Is the most size that they've had in a few years up front?
No, I mean they've had decent size. You know, they've always had, you know, a couple active guys that are close to 7 feet that are good athletes. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's a lot bigger. You know, I mean, I think they're mixing and matching some lineups now, so they might play, you know, with 3 of the bigger guys at one time, you know, here and there. But I don't feel like it's a team that's necessarily, you know, bigger than they've had in the past. They've always had good size. They've always had good athletes, and they've always been aggressive.
ASU's got a couple of guards that are averaging over 15 points per game. How important is that communication defensively factor going to be for JB, Braden, and Ivan in this?
Well, it's going to be very important. You know, I mean, those guys they play off each other well. They're dangerous. They're shot makers. You know, they're both adept at getting fouled. So, you know, they can kind of hurt you in a lot of ways. So, you know, not only is it going to take, you know, great effort from those guards, but it's just going to take great effort from our bigs being there to support them. And, you know, they're just the type of players you can't leave a guy out on an island. You know, you need some help in those gaps to kind of, you know, reduce the operating space for some of those guys. So yeah, no doubt. I mean, those 2 guards, you know, have our full attention.
Defense and those bigs, Krivas has talked about his defensive growth that he has made. Who's primarily worked with him in that respect, and what have you liked most about him?
I mean, our entire staff, you know, has worked with them, and you know, we're not a basketball team that necessarily has an offensive and defensive coordinator. You know, I mean, I prefer well-rounded coaches that, you know, coach most, if not all, aspects of the game. So, so I think our whole staff's helped him. You know, I know Murph's obviously worked with him a lot. Ken's worked with him a lot. You know, just and a lot of it is just conversations and understanding the importance, you know, of your 5. Your 5 is can anchor your defense. I mean, they can give you, you know, rim protection, paint protection, you know, good defensive rebounding, things that are really important. And you know, we really wanted him to own that. You know, it's never that I don't think he, you know, didn't try on defense, but I just didn't know. I don't know if he prioritized it as much as he is now, and so he's obviously made a difference on that end of the court for it. But you know, talk is cheap. I mean, it's something you got to go out and do every night.
I want to talk real quick about roster construction. Was it difficult? These top 8 play really well together. We all know that. But was it difficult in putting the roster together for these guys? You know, you got to go after this, got to go after this, because it flows so well.
You know, I don't want to make light of it and act like it wasn't challenging. I mean, it's always challenging. You know, recruiting and building a team is something that, you know, always takes a lot of effort, you know, but I think, you know, one of the big things is, you know, you don't get a crystal ball in recruiting, and you kind of have to read and react each situation, because one situation might impact another situation when it impacts another situation. So you got to kind of be able to, you know, keep your head up and just kind of navigate, you know, the recruiting process and the roster building process, with open eyes. And because, here's the deal. You don't always get what you want. I mean, this year, I think we got a lot of what we wanted. But, maybe this year, is on the above average side of that. So it's, we take putting our roster together very serious, and we're very mindful in how we put it together. And, so far this year, it's worked pretty well.
Did you guys get out of those runs, the approaches that TCU had in the second half to try every time they got it close?
Well, I mean, obviously a lot, but I mean, my deal is, I mean, you look at runs and, obviously we got to respond, but it's not like I'm sitting there saying, let's let Coach Dixon's team go on a run right now because this would be great for us to deal with. I mean, again, it's one of these situations. You read and react as the game's going, and you have to have responses. You have to have kind of these trained responses to adverse situations, so there is no panic. And there is comfort in being a little bit uncomfortable. There is comfort in not playing well and being able to respond for it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm thankful, for great competition because that's what drives this. And so far this year, I mean, our guys have had a lot of answers, but, that doesn't mean we should have hubris and think that just because we've done it a few times that we're going to do it again, because Wednesday's game is going to present a lot of challenges. The moment that ball goes up, there's going to be challenges, and we're going to have have responses and solutions to those challenges.
You talked previously about Yvonne and how you weren't sure if he was going to want to come to the United States. At what point does that become, like, when you obviously are interested in the conversation with Pablo Lasso, do you say, okay, we know he's coming now, let's go after him, or we like him, let's convince him to come?
I mean, all of those things probably, ran concurrently. And, I think it was just, we just needed to have a better understanding of what the eligibility rules were going to be. I mean, that was the biggest thing. And once we got clarity on what those rules would be, he had a strong interest. So, we pursued, full throttle ahead. And I think we were fortunate that he, committed here without taking any visits to any other schools. And so, obviously we've got an impact player, and he's a great guy to have around every day, and he's been a great fit for our culture.
Rules, you talk about like pro contracts and where that lands now. I mean,
For sure.
how much do you think that's changed? I mean, I remember, Kirk Reese the year before he got here had to sit out for 2
Yeah, I
years
mean,
of the season.
it's changed a lot. I mean, and it's documented out there, so I'm not gonna rehash the history of eligibility, especially what's going on these days. I mean, again, I'm just really big on tell me what the rules are, and we'll do our best to operate within the rules and find the advantages within the rules, and that's how we treat it.
A special and artificial intelligence, obviously, and in basketball, right, use a lot of analytics, right? Is
And
this
guys, just because I spoke at the legislature does not mean I have any opinion on AI. Like, wow.
Well, do you use it, if you want to talk about it basketball, do you use it in your personal life? Would you actually go to Grok or Perplexity and say, hey, what's the best way to attack?
What? What'd you say?
So Grok is Twitter's
What's
AI.
that?
It's Twitter, Elon Musk, Twitter's AI is Grok, G-R-O-K, yeah. Perplexity.
I didn't know Twitter was a thing anymore.
No, that's right, you're not on. How much?
Didn't that company get renamed? Okay.
Yes, you're right.
Now you're talking my language.
X. No, I should get that right, you're right.
You called Twitter last week.
Do you use it at all in your personal life, or do you use it being its way to basketballs, or anything you could share with that, or is?
No. I haven't got there yet. I may have younger staff members that have, but I just haven't made that leap yet. I like the little world I'm living in, and I'm pretty comfortable in it. And not that you couldn't add value in certain ways, but yeah, I'm pretty good where I'm at.
What's this kind of routine, or has it been a routine where you're getting a home game on Wednesday, a road on Saturday, a few weeks in a row here? Is that?
It has the last few weeks. I didn't ask for it, but it's happened. So, like I said, we don't get a lot of say in the rhythm of the schedule. So, how it breaks, we try to figure it out, and sometimes it's nice to get these little 2-3 week little rhythms for the guys, especially over break was nice. So, yeah, I mean it's been good. It's been good. But I have no idea what next week looks like. So I don't even know. So, and I'm being honest with you. I don't know, and I'm being honest with you, I don't even know who we play after UCF. So, and that's 100% true. Maybe I'm going to use some AI to look it up right after this.
But you know, remember last year we were kind of joking about what day is Monday, maybe it was Thursday. This year, when is Monday this year? What do you do when you have this pattern?
Well, Monday's been Monday because the last couple Sundays we've had off. So that's usually what throws you off is you're just kind of get used to your off day in college basketball. A lot of times is on a Sunday. So, when you start playing games on Monday and Tuesday and you kind of lose that Sunday, that's when you kind of get thrown out of kilter a little bit. So the last few weeks, Monday's been Monday.
Helpful to having the Saturday road games for the most part during the day and get
That's
back
been
for
great.
dinner.
That's been great. That's been great. But again, I don't, I'm not going to sit here and count on that because that's probably a little bit luck of the draw. And yeah, but if we get back early, we get back early. If we get back late, we get back late. I just want to play well that 40 minutes.
In the off-season, if you guys ever have any conversation with Brian Thornton or whoever and say, hey, if you're going to send us to Orlando, can we at least have a day game and get back?
I mean, I've never had that conversation. I'm not saying that somebody else hasn't. But I also do think that, I think the conference tries to do the best job they can to accommodate that stuff. And as we do it more, I'm sure they'll get more comfortable, figuring out what those accommodations need to be.
With Krivas at the offensive end, and I don't know if Kansas State was an anomaly, he shot 82% floor and free throw line. But when you've got a big that can score from the free throw line like that, does that prioritize offense to try to run through him?
Well, for sure. I mean, because if you have a big that you're comfortable at the free throw line and who is kind of proficient at drawing fouls, I mean, that's a heck of a combination, because sometimes, in the past, you get in the bonus and you look out there and you have a guy that's proficient drawing fouls, but maybe not proficient at the free throw line, you got some choices to make. So to have a guy that can do both of those things is really valuable.
What's Toby Walker's personality like? He never seems to argue calls. He's kind of like a gentle giant out there. Can you give us some insight?
I think he and Mo both have that. I think those guys have done an amazing job. I mean, they're obviously high effort, high physicality, type of players. And I think they understand that, they're also going to be on the receiving end of some physicality. And so I think they kind of accept it and they play through it. And I think at the end of the day, officials eventually respect that. So, and I respect the heck out of those two guys because it's not easy. It's not easy what they're asked to do. And, the physicality that goes with it, the workload that goes with it, with the style we play, we put a lot on those guys. And those guys they're warriors for sure.
I know you don't like to look ahead, but my deadline to write about ASU already passed, so I was just curious, any thoughts on... It's a long story. But, I'm just wondering, if your thoughts on UCF in general and the season they're having. UCF,
Yeah, I mean, I caught a little bit of their game on Saturday, or was it Sunday? It was Sunday, right? They played Cincinnati. Yeah, I caught a little bit on Sunday, and they were impressive. I mean, just they had great athletes out there, and and were really physical and aggressive, and obviously they're off to a good start. I don't know who they play this week before us, but yeah, I mean they look like a formidable opponent to me. I mean, I watched that game. I was like, all right, well, here we go. This is going to be another incredibly tough game on the road.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.